Hi all and welcome to the next episode of Under the Skin. I am sure almost all of our viewers won't need any kind of introduction to our next guest, but I'm going to give him a very quick one anyway. With 10 Test match hundreds, 14 years captain of Middlesex County Cricket Club, over 20 games as captain for England, and an executive board member of Middlesex, I am honoured and privileged to be joined by Mike Gatting. Mike, welcome.
Thank you.
Mike, yeah, obviously it's strange times that we find ourselves in right now. I know we had a chat yesterday and today, but what have you been doing to keep yourself busy during the lockdown?
I've tried to stay out of the way, try to be sensible, try and adhere to the very simple rules that we were given about wearing masks and staying 2 feet away and washing hands and stuff like that. Walking the dogs. I managed to have a knee operation, which was a good thing, so I've had plenty of time to sort of rehab properly. But apart from that, it's been quite tough. You used to we're used to spending 3 months away from home, being on cricket tours and sort of in hotels in some rough places at times. But being under house arrest is hard work, and I like everybody. I think we've all struggled, but as I say, hopefully there's some light at the end of the tunnel now, and we can all move on and be sensible.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, fingers crossed that we have some kind of normality to cricket season. I think that'll be good for everybody, especially all the cricketers out there. Last year was a bit wishy-washy, and hopefully this year we can have something back to normal, which would be fantastic.
Indeed.
So yeah, obviously, brilliant to have you. I mean, there's not many of our current crop of indoor cricketers, I say, that know a lot about the past and know a lot about the history of indoor. But you actually played, obviously, England outdoor. You played England indoor. So what I would like to know is, what was your journey like in indoor? How did you get into playing, and who did you play for, like nationals and stuff like that?
I played. How I got into it was basically I had a couple of winters at home, and a man called Bob Manker from Villa Park, who called Stumps. He was running an indoor team, and he thought it'd be a good idea to get some of the current local professionals. Certainly, a lot of the Warwickshire players played in his team, and he asked whether I'd be interested in playing it. I thought, well, it's quite interesting. I'd have a look at it and see how it sort of, how it went. And I actually enjoyed it enormously. It really was very good, actually, for the disciplines that we had to play outdoors. There was a lot of very interesting skills you had to learn playing indoor cricket. The nets were obviously sprung. The ball swung around a bit. And you didn't have any pads. You could wear a box and a gloves, but you could wear some shin pads, but that was about it. You could wear a thigh pad, I suppose, if you wanted to. But and the fielders were in your face, and there was a lot of chatter going on. It was really played in a wonderful, wonderful way, and it was very hard cricket. At that time, though, we had about 40 or 50 indoor arenas around the country. I mean, sadly, now we're down to sort of nearly single figures, I think. But it's still, in my opinion, a fantastic game that certainly has created a lot of cricketers around the world. Certainly in Australia, a lot of the guys that played Test cricket in our area all played indoor cricket. And I think even now you might find that some of the Test cricketers would have played indoor cricket as the eight-a-side form that people won't have seen much of, I suppose, this day and age. But those that do play it, I'm sure enjoy it. There's a few rule changes, I suppose, have gone on since I played, but it's a game that you can play as a family. It's a game you can play as a mixed gender game, and you can have a bit of fun. It really is, and everybody gets to bat and bowl, and it's all over in about an hour and a half. It really is, as I say, a nice way to keep fit, and certainly for the pros, if you're playing at the top level, as we did against a lot of very, very good players. It helped in sort of catching, reaction, bowling, your fitness levels, your reaction time. It really was a good game to play. I can't speak highly enough of it.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely spot on. There's players like Steve Smith played the game. He speaks in one of the Australian interviews about how he played indoor, as did majority of Test team now that have like Brad Haddon, Aaron Finch, Michael Clark, Matthew Wade. They all grew up playing in their individual areas in Australia, so it's still very common over there. You mentioned obviously the great players that were playing back in your day. I've seen a game actually where I've had the figures of England outdoor versus an England indoor game, and in that side, if I just quickly read that side out, you were captain of the side, and they had the likes of so you were captain Kim Barnett,
Yep.
Chris Board,
Yep.
Phil De Freitas,
Yep.
John Embry,
Yep.
Graham Gooch, Derek Randall, Tim Robinson, and I believe your reserve player was Gladstone Small. So I've seen this, and what a side that would be to play against. But what we don't know, Mike, is what was the result of that game? What was the?
You would think that the outdoor players would have had it covered, because obviously the other guys were sort of what I'd say amateur players who some played minor county cricket at the time, but had all played a lot of indoor cricket. We got absolutely annihilated. It was quite, well, it wasn't embarrassing. It was a very good lesson of how that you might think you're quite good at a certain game you play, but there are others who play a very similar game, but there are lots of nuances of how to field, how to run, how to back up, what to do. It was quite I think because we didn't know the rules as well as we might have done, and I think you'll find going on, I think we played 1 or 2 matches against them in the end, and we had another go later on down with a lot more of the Warwickshire players, because we had Keith Piper and Tim Munton, Gladstone Small, Asif Din was a fantastic bowler in those. He bowled his leg breaks, and he was a fantastic bowler. Played for stumps as well. There are a lot of guys from the Warwickshire team that played in the winter, and we had some great fun over about 2 or 3 year period. And of course, we got to know some of the England players that played. And as I say, I can't speak highly enough of it, and I think it's a fantastic game to play. And the centres are good as well, because the centres themselves that are run don't just have cricket. They have netball for the girls. They have football for the guys. Sometimes they have their little centres for the kids where they have parties and all sorts of things. The one at Derby is a fantastic centre that's run very, very well and has been for a long time. But it's sad. We lost so many. They're all around the country. And you could travel down to Lancing to play down there against Sussex boys, and Dartford had a great team. Then you go up to sort of Manchester, and they'd have another huge team. Wellingborough had it was a real good spread across the whole country. But sadly, it all sort of fell by the wayside. And many times, even as my time at ECB with in charge of the recreational game, we tried to sort of keep it going, but it was very, very difficult because of people running the businesses. There was a good one in Wolverhampton as well. There are people tried hard, but there just wasn't the sort of ability to run a business, and it had to be run in a certain way to sort of be sustainable.
Yeah, no, of course. Like you've been a great backer of this game. As far as I've been involved, it's always been Mike's been the person who's really fronted it for us and done a great job with that. I think you've gone through the parts of the game that you love the most and why you back it. But the question I've got is then, I guess, I think we've got plans in what we want to do going forward. In the respect that there isn't that many centres now out there, how do you think it's best that we get more people playing this game? What would be your take on that?
Well, look, many people have tried. I mean, I think really it's the cost issue of having a huge arena where you need sort of quite a decent sized sort of shed, if you like, to play. And then it's a question of the other bits and pieces that go with it, because it's not just about running an indoor cricket thing, because you can only have a certain amount of, sort of players playing and certain times of the day that they're playing. But I think once people start playing it, they continue to. But again, it's just getting it started, and many people over the years have tried to start it up and hasn't really worked that well. Funnily enough, it might not be a bad time to start now trying to put something like together, because, people I think will have had all this lockdown. Then all of a sudden they realise actually, what they miss, being able to play sport and being able to have a meet with your mates and have a drink. And I think, the indoor game, because there's football, there's cricket, and football and cricket can go on at the same time sometimes. Certainly the netball can do. And then during the daytime, you have to use it as a creche or something, or try and get some of the local councils to send down schools or whatever, and then there's a sort of the sort of games area as well, which you need just to keep everything ticking over. So there is a formula. One or two people have done it successfully, but as I say,
it's tricky, isn't it? It's tricky with
it is.
the thing. Well, me and my team currently, we kind of think that we found a way to do it in a roundabout kind of way, which is not to put that expectation on the tension net cages themselves now, if that makes sense, and just use normal cricket centres. Let's say like the Lord's Indoor School, for example, and just play an adapted version of our game in terms of the layout, but have the same rules. Because the way we see it is that our version of the game is really a true participation sport. Like everybody bats, everybody bowls, the keeper bowls, everybody gets the same amount of time to bat. So in that sense, it's slightly different to the six-a-side version. But that's what we'd like to see going forward, is that we try and get at least one or two of these centres across the country in every county, just playing an adapted version.
Yeah, look, there are. I mean, the Lady Taverners had a sort of under 15, under 13 schools sort of competition going on, and they used the centres at Lords, and they had 8-a-side, and they batted in pairs like we did. I mean, the big thing about the tension nets and the closeness of the 8-a-side was the way the ball goes around, the excitement, the just the buzz. Playing 8-a-side cricket is a good game, and you can do it with 12, you can do it with 10, as long as you've got even numbers. And you can play that sort of game. So that it is out there, whether you play 6-a-side, 8-a-side, 10-a-side, 12-a-side, you can play it. So, and you can play it with just normal nets. I mean, Lords happens to have sprung nets, and a lot of the other countries have a lot of other counties have the same thing. But yes, you can play it, and I think, again, you can just play it in an open gym, play the 8-a-side, but you will lose that sort of closeness and the speed that the ball goes from one end to the other, and how it bounces off the net, and how the people run, where they only have to run halfway as opposed to a full length of the pitch. Yeah, there are many slight differences that I mean, make it a good sport for people to enjoy. But you're right, you can, and I think ECB have got a lot of obviously 6-a-side stuff going on around the country. Have a national 6-a-side competition, and as I say, the girls, it's quite phenomenal how the girls have actually increased. I mean, I think the under 13 started off with about sort of 800 people entering, and then all of a sudden it's got up to 1,500, and then they say, well, we need another age group. So I think it's a game people can enjoy, and it's a game the young kids can enjoy, and certainly the women, which is fantastic, and the girls. So yeah, it's out there, but our particular brand of what we really call indoor cricket is one that is quite special, and it is. So sadly, I think that might be hard to replicate. And as you say, the easier way is to go into the arenas and play 8-a-side, where you bat in pairs and you all bowl 2 overs each, and you've got certain fielders in certain places, and it's still great fun.
Yep. So the last kind of indoor question, I guess, for you is that your cap number 20, whether you knew that or not, cap number 20 for England indoor.
No, I didn't.
There's one for the memories, but what were your best memories of playing for England indoor? Was there any particular tours or stuff that you remember that you really did enjoy and fond memories of?
No, we didn't do tours, sadly. But we did play against South Africa. I remember home series against South Africa, which was a fantastic series. We didn't get to play the better teams, which I think were, no disrespect to South Africa, which was probably Australia at the time. We had an Australian keeper who played for Stumps in my first year, and he was just awesome. I mean, as soon as he got the ball, it was back up to top stumps as quick as a flash. And I mean, I was at top stumps, and jeepers, that came in real quick. And that's quite a thrill, just a challenge to catch it and actually, try and run the batsman out who's only still got to run from halfway but backing up. But we talk about it because we understand it, and it's sometimes difficult for people to picture. But it is a fantastic game, and I'm sure there must be some stuff on YouTube if people wanted to have a look. But I just think the centres themselves are great places as well. It's the closest of having a youth centre that we used to sort of have when we were young kids, where you could go and play lots of different sports. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you mentioned YouTube, because last year we introduced a Super League, which was kind of like, obviously the outdoor cricket released 100. We released a Super League, which is a draft-based system. So the best 40 players in the country were drafted into 4 teams, and that's all live streamed on YouTube. So we've actually got all of last year's league on YouTube for any of the viewers that want to check that out, on our page, Action in Cricket England. But there's some good stuff on there, and it was a fantastic development for us, because just getting that sports scene a bit more. We've had a lot of people coming in because they've just seen the videos and the clips. I mean, something a bit more on topic now. So England are about to play India. As a player myself, I've been to India, and I found it one of the hardest places to play. I really struggled with just how skiddy and low the ball kept. And what I want to know is, like, one of your biggest things was that you won a series in India, which is not easy by any stretch of the imagination. So, what are the demands on players when they play in India, and how did you get your success, over there?
I think basically you like anything, you have to be fairly positive. I mean, we did have to play against a mainly sort of what I'd say medium fast attack. It wasn't quite like their attack now, India, where they've got people like Bumrah, Sharma, Saraj. They seem to have a battery of quite fast bowlers these days, which is not what you had. You had Kapil Dev in those days, and a lot of sort of what I'd say, medium pace bowlers. Kapil was obviously the better one, and Srinath in just towards the end of my career, but. No, the spinners was always the thing you had to play. So you had to be confident against spinners. And I'd sort of, I suppose, been brought up against a coach who bowled leg spin at me from a very young age. So it wasn't too bad. Although I couldn't play off spinners very well for some strange reason, because I was always playing with a spin with the left armour. So I was always playing the offside. So when it turned into me, I had to sort of try and change my way of playing, but. Nevertheless, I think we saw, if anybody did watch on the Sky, but Joe Root played magnificently. He used the crease well. He either sort of smothered the ball or got right back on his stumps, and then sort of swept quite well. And that's basically the sort of game plan for me. Was I would try and get up and down the wicket a bit more. I didn't play perhaps as well as Joe does off the back foot, but. I would certainly be looking to manoeuvre the field around as well. And you just need a bit of confidence, be positive in what you're doing. And I think that, we as a team then, it was quite an extraordinary tour, that one in '84. When we arrived, Indira Gandhi had been assassinated. We then had to go down to Sri Lanka because they were having 13 days mourning to practice. The Tamil Tigers decided to bomb the naval yard, which was right next to our hotel. And then when we got back up to India, again, our Deputy High Commissioner got sort of assassinated. So it was quite an interesting trip. So it sort of took your mind off the cricket a bit. So maybe that was what it was. I don't know. But no, we had a good team. We played some good cricket. And, the team were quite a close-knit team, enjoyed each other's company. And we played well, and we fought back from being 1-0 down. But like any test match, you've got to get the runs on the board, and then you've got to bowl and catch well, because some of the wickets are quite good out there. But you let any good player get off the hook, and you end up paying for it. But so you've got to play good cricket basically, and you've got to have people who are comfortable against spin. Otherwise, it does make it. Quite testing, as the guys found out last time they were over in India, when it did turn quite a long way.
Any tips for who's going to win? Who you think? Who you back in?
Oh, we were talking about it with a friend of mine, Sachin Barjar.
I know Sachin quite well as well.
You know Sachin,
yeah.
I'm sure you would do.
Yeah.
So I've had a long chat with Sachin about which Indian team's going to play, having done so well in Australia. Somebody tried to predict a team. But it will be very, very, very interesting to see exactly what team they do play, as it will with England, to be fair, because, we've got Butler for one test match. Bairstow's not going to be there for 2. I understand Zach Crawley's just got injured. So, who's going to bat 3 sort of thing. I know sort of Rory Burns is back out there, so that probably could be Sibley and Burns who open. But who's going to bat 3? Pope's out there, I know, but he hasn't played much cricket. As I say, it'd be interesting to see. A lot of these guys are going to be coming into the Test team on both sides who haven't played a bit of cricket for a little while.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they'll play Bumrah if he's fit, and I'm sure they'll play, sort of Sharma and Yadav, who hasn't been in the team's a left armour. I'm sure he'll play. Because Ashwin's got to as well. Kohli's got to come in.
Yeah.
So the poor boys who all played their hearts out in Australia are going to be sadly missed out. But they haven't played any cricket. And then likewise, we've got Archer coming in, Burns, Stokes, Wokes, Ali to pick from. None of which have played any cricket.
No.
So it's going to be fascinating because, it doesn't often work out that way. I mean, I know the Indians are used to be playing in India, but, Moen's done a tour over there. Wokesy has as well. Stokesy has. Joffrey probably hasn't, and Rory probably hasn't. But, I mean, they have got people who are in very good order. And the main thing is, certainly the captains of both sides are in good order. That's Rahane, I might add, as opposed to Virat. I'm sure Virat will be in very good order anyway, as he always is. But Ruti's in a great run of form at the moment. Great way to start the year. Played extremely well, and he'll be looking to capitalise on the good form hopefully. And Stokesy, I'm sure, will be looking to get back into it. And as I say, there are it's just to be interesting to see how the series goes, because I think Butler goes back and then Bairstow doesn't come back for the till the third Test match, which means Folkes has got to keep wicket. And I suspect that Folkes might well keep wicket after Butler goes, and probably Bairstow will come in and bat 3, I suspect. So it wouldn't surprise me if we have a strange number 3. Maybe it might be Lawrence. Maybe it might be Pope. I don't know. Yep. But we'll see. It's a choice they have. They could even put Moen in at 3 again, I suppose, and try him at 3. But he won't have. I think the fact of the matter is there's going to be some serious pace up front to start with. So it's not going to be just about the spinners. No. Although they'll have Ravi Ashwin to contend with, and probably Yadav, I suspect. They want a left arm spinner as well.
Yeah.
It's going to be fascinating. I actually said to them, I can see a draw coming on, because you're playing at two grounds. So the reason I said that, because you've got Delhi for 2 Test matches, and where's the other 2 at Ahmedabad. So Ahmedabad is a new stadium. Don't know much about it, but obviously Madras can turn, but it can also provide a bit of bounce for the quicker bowlers too. Yeah. So I you'd have to say India are probably favourites because it's a home ground and they're playing so well all the way through the team. But as I say, with some new faces coming in, haven't played any cricket for a little while. Who knows?
Anything can happen. Yeah. Of course.
But I suspect a draw might be an interesting conclusion, I think.
Yeah, I agree. In terms of yourself, amazing career. You're a lot of people's idols growing up. So what was your best moment in your career? What was the best moment of your career?
Well, I suppose the best moment in your career is when you, as a young kid, you're sort of hoping you can walk out at Lord's playing for Middlesex, whatever. And then your sort of hopes and aspirations go up a little higher, or your aims should do anyway. And so you end up thinking, I'd love to be a regular for Middlesex. And then, I never thought about captaincy, to be perfectly honest. I was just happy to be in the Middlesex side. But then when you get the captain, you got a good side and you start winning matches, it's great fun. And then obviously the next thing you want to play for England, and then you just play for England and you don't think about anything else. But, then the captaincy comes on. So I suppose just walking out as captain of England is just unbelievable, really. As just playing your first Test match for England was unbelievable. Winning the Ashes.
Yeah, I was going to say winning the Ashes.
But as I say, that tour to India in 1984 was a fantastic tour, and so eventful and so memorable for those many things. Having gone 1-0 down and to win the series 2-1. In 84 with David Gower as captain was quite a turning point for me as well, as I got my first Test 100 there. But yeah, I mean, you can't really beating the Aussies in Australia and beating them quite well as well was quite nice.
So yeah, you say you were captain for 14. Well, you were captain of Middlesex for 14 years, and England for over 20 matches. For our youngsters that watching this, our indoor cricket youngsters, what advice would you give the young leaders or captains? If you had any advice for them, what would it be? And what were your main challenges as a captain, as well?
Main challenges, I mean, basically was you're a bit like a parent. You've got 10 guys to look after on the pitch and work with them, and they're all different characters. So you got to work with them, and you got to keep the peace, if you like, and also at the same time try and get the best out of them as players. So that's always a challenge. Look, like anything in life, if you work hard and you prepare well, then it's a really good way. So, always remember that there's you think you're training hard enough and you're playing hard enough, and just have a think. So I remember one of the very big things that I learned. We thought we were quite a good team at Middlesex when I was playing in the under-15s, and we came up against a Yorkshire side who came down from Yorkshire, and they absolutely hammered us, and we thought we were really good. And so there's always somebody out there who's good at, better than you, and you just have to keep working hard. And if you work hard at your game and practice and train and make sure you're the best you can be, then that's all I can offer is that's what you should be. Be honest with yourself as well. If you played a poor shot, be honest with yourself and try not to repeat it too often. But don't make excuses. If you start making excuses, you don't get anywhere. And just be honest with people you talk to and yourself.
Yeah, that's brilliant advice. Brilliant advice. So I think I said yesterday, I had a lovely interview this morning with Luke Holman, one of the Middlesex lads.
Yes.
And in that interview, it turned out that actually 3 of the current Middlesex players have all played a bit of indoor, which I found fascinating because there's not that many current pros that have.
No.
And so Luke's played obviously in England for England, in a World Cup. Nathan Salter actually has won a few MVPs in Australia playing indoor for the
I can
21s.
imagine that with his leg spin.
Yeah, and Joe Cracknell has played obviously in England,
Really?
and he was I've seen him actually play, and I couldn't believe how hard he hit a cricket ball.
Yes,
but he hit so many sevens in this tournament that I played in, and that was just fascinating to watch him play. But yeah, interesting that the Middlesex and you being a Middlesex person, just how that's worked out, and there's 3 current pros that I've seen playing or know of that player, and they're all at Middlesex, which is fantastic.
Yes, it's been quite interesting because of all the lockdown and everything. I've watched them play, both Luke and James Cracknell as well, and they're very good young players. And Luke gave a good account of himself in the T20 stuff when he came on towards the end last season. But we haven't really had a chance to sit down and chat because we've all been in lockdown, and you can't get to see them and or talk to them even. So it's been nice. But it's nice to know that they have played, and I hope they had the same experience I did. Thoroughly enjoyed it.
No, Luke loves it. I mean, he speaks really fondly of the game and still tries to play when he can. So that's brilliant. We love to see him when he does play. So I'm just happy that there's still people out there that have obviously grew up playing it, and you don't lose that love for the game. That's the thing. You always love it, no matter how long you've been out of it.
And as I say,
sorry, mate, go on.
No, I was going to say that the great thing about it is you don't need much kit either. Really, you need a box, a bat, a pair of shin pads, and at the most a thigh pad. And the ball's not hard either. If people don't realise that, it's not a cricket ball. It's actually quite a hard tennis ballish type thing with some leather around it. And it's quite light. And as I say, it's a fun game where everybody of all ages and groups can play.
Amazing. So last cricket question from me, which is a bit of a fun question actually. If you could pick 8 of the current England squad, whether that be T20, Test match, one day, to play indoor, what would your 8 be?
I would have Butler, Stokes, Wokes, Butler, Wokes, Stokes. Who else I said there? So Butler,
that's those 3, yeah.
Butler, Wokes, Stokes, Root. That's 4. Bairstow 5. I'm going to bear in mind these all got a bowl as well, haven't they?
Yeah.
Well, most of them going to have a wicket keeper, so that's Butler. That's fine. So Wokes and Stokes bowls. Butler's bowling. Root bowls is off spin. That's fine.
Yeah. Moeen Ali might be quite a good one.
Moeen Ali would be a good one. That's 6. I think I'd have to have Archer in there.
Yeah.
Archer in there, and
one of the Curran boys potentially.
I think Chris Jordan. Jordan.
Yeah, because he's got great fielding ability as well. So
indeed, yeah.
It'd be a great top stumps, actually, thinking about it.
Yep, it probably would be. I probably left somebody out very, very good in there, but there we are. We haven't put Anderson or Broad in. Hopefully they don't get too upset about that. But
yeah, no, I wouldn't want to face Anderson with the yellow ball.
Curran's another one.
Yeah.
Curran's a decent all-round cricketer.
But I think the least person I'd like to face would be Joff. To be fair, with that short run up, I don't think he'd be any less quick. So yeah.
Nor do I. And if it does swing, remember the indoor ball always swings. So if he gets his wrist side the wrong side, all of a sudden it could be nightmare for the wicketkeeper as well. But there we are.
No, brilliant. And finally, Mike, any current projects that you're working on or anything that you're doing that would be of interest to our viewers?
No, not really. Just still trying to do a lot of work with the Taverners. So we've got our Taverners programs, and we're doing the Wickets program. We've got the Super Ones for the disabled cricket. The Wickets program is a huge one. A lot of work going on down in Worcester and around Wolverhampton, places like that, Redditch, where they're trying to help the people in disadvantaged areas. We still got our kit recycling as well, so we do a lot of that for the folks. So as I say, that, and the other one is table cricket for the disabled, which we do a lot of, which is a fantastic thing that goes on and on, getting bigger and bigger.
It's brilliant. I mean, I've coached it.
I'm sure you have.
It's absolutely fantastic.
So that's been a fair amount of what we've been doing at the moment. And TAVS is obviously close to my heart, being the only cricket charity really in the UK, and just trying to sort of. It's been a difficult year, like all charities, but we've got these wonderful programs, and a lot of them have been on. And I think even though in the shutdown, we managed to get to about 12,000 kids on these programs, which hopefully has helped them while away a few hours when we've been able to. So that's really our projects, the Taverners projects with the Wickets, table cricket, and the Super Ones, and our kit recycling. So if any of the guys have got any old kit, just let the Tabs know, and we'll collect it all. But it's a really good program. It goes overseas as well as stays here in the UK. So
I think we're actually in the talking at the minute of having an exhibition game with the Tabs, for the charity. So the England indoor side playing against the Tabs side in an exhibition match. So that'd be quite cool, and hopefully that
it'll be slightly one-sided, I suspect.
Yeah. But no, that's brilliant, man. That's brilliant that you're working with causes like that. So absolutely fantastic. Mike, thank you so much for your time and your insight. It's been absolutely invaluable as always. Your help throughout the years has been absolutely fantastic, and we can't ask for anything more really. So thank you again for joining us.
Absolute pleasure.